We all know that most of the stories in the Life is Strange franchise focuses on healing, but why does it feel like it takes a lifetime to get to the healing part within most of their stories? According to the gaming community, Life is Strange True Colors should take 10 hours to beat. That's shorter than the time it takes for me to edit this video. So why did it take me 2 years to complete? It wasn't because it was hard, and it wasn't because I was busy, but like Helen and Charles McCarter, this game and I had a toxic relationship. And today, I'm finally breaking the silence of why I ghosted Alex and Haven Springs for 24 months. Let me be honest with you. Initially, I loved the game. The aesthetics matched my vibe, as I've always wanted to visit and potentially live in a small rustic town like Haven Springs. Also, Alex Shen aesthetically echoes a lot of my style, and I see a lot of myself in her personality. I'm socially awkward, creative, and I am a retro enthusiast. For instance, I'm an avid lover and collector of CDs, so much so that I recently bought a Bluetooth Walkman. With that said, there are several aspects strengthening the game's appeal, including Haven Springs' ambience, Alex's backstory, for example, a survivor of the foster care system, early disclosure of her powers, and the sudden death of her brother. All these aspects indicated a promising gameplay following a storyline that would move at good pace. So where did it all go wrong? So when it comes to gaming, I'm a puzzle girly. I like to search for clues and figure things out, but like knowing to leave a toxic relationship after seeing the first red flag, a small part of me knew that I should have left the game alone soon after the first bartending shift at the Black Tavern. Not to give away how old I am, but after doing several service jobs in real life, I did not want to relive that trauma through simulation. Like really, who wants to be remembering and be tested on taking orders while searching for bottles and cleaning up scraps left by bar patrons? No thanks. I mean, if that's your vibe, then do you, but for me, no sir. Also, the actual pace of the game is painful metaphorically and physically. It's been a pain point for many players of this game. Why must we physically walk through the game so slow? Yes, there's a jogging function which would make you think you'd move faster, but in actuality, you seem to be getting nowhere quick. And don't get me started on the looping dialogues. Lord forbid you miss a certain detail in the dialogue. You're punished by having to go through the unskippable dialogue again. And the LARPing? No thanks. I'd rather experience LARPing in all its glory in real life. Right, so in the same way Riley and Mac's relationship should have ended, I intended to abandon the game for good at the end of chapter 2. After the hell that was the bartending shift and then searching for Mac's insecure behind, I was done. You can even see on my channel, it was July 2024 where I went seeking for a healthier gamer gameplay relationship because it was not in this game. And like the aftermath of escaping a toxic relationship, I did pine over some of the game's attractive qualities, like the visual aesthetics and my desire to be swallowed into a rustic landscape like Haven Springs. But in the grand scheme of things, you know it's best to leave those relationships well enough alone because the detrimental qualities significantly overshadow the prospective ones. Call it stubbornness, optimism, or sheer foolishness. But despite the awful experience, I chose to give Alex and Haven Springs a second chance in 2025. My perseverance wasn't the driving factor. I truly think my will to return to the game was mainly driven by my lack of options. That is, I had a bad cold over Christmas and very little opportunity to do anything else while bedridden. So like an ill-advised reunion, in my moment of weakness, I thought I had the fix. So I thought it wasn't the game, it must be me. And if I had a different environment, then the gaming experience would change, wouldn't it? So while it was on sale, I bought the same game on my Nintendo Switch. Maybe sitting at my desk was the issue. Surely in the comfort of my bed, the gaming experience would be different, right? No. The red flags were still there. Laborious subplots, looping dialogue, and unneeded activities were ever present. But I had invested time in this relationship already, and more importantly, maybe even stupidly, I've invested more money. So I was determined to complete this shiftless game, give it a final shot before calling it quits. On a side note, the plot behind Alex, Ryan, and Steph's love triangle was irritating. I feel the developers could have spent some more time on the subplots in order to create more emotional impact when Papa Lucan's activities are exposed, and in turn Junior Lucan's response to said events are revealed. Maybe I missed the depth. Let me know in the comments below. Is there a deeper story to uncover between Alex, Steph and / Ryan? However, similar to what happens to many partnerships during separation, healthy growth did take place. The main storyline became more interesting by building upon the whodunit narrative and expositional introduction to the fate of the Shen family. It added a bit more emotional weight and investment in exposing Gabe's demise. And I'm intentionally being vague because I don't want to spoil the whole game for you guys. But like most separations, the growth was still not enough to change my outlook on the game itself. Nonetheless, despite finishing the game a year later, I still think the game has a beautiful ambience that can sustain you through the painful parts of gameplay. And given the fact that the game was created nearly 5 years ago, the graphics aged pretty well. In all honesty, the storyline has the potential to be compelling, but its misjudgment on prioritizing some subplots over the others lets the game down considerably. I would have loved to see the expansion on other subplots, like the Shen family's background and experiences. For instance, focusing on a few moments of Alex's lived experiences in foster care would be interesting because it gives insight into her current demeanour. Instead, these aspects were near the end of the game, and as such, it seemed to be rushed, like it was an afterthought. Lastly, there should be more emotional stake attached to the choices you make regarding Steph and Ryan. Looking at it critically, it seems like the same story outcome would have been achieved whether Alex chooses to pursue a relationship with Ryan, Steph, or neither. And if that's the case, this definitely was a plot that could have been dropped. All in all, True Colours is the beautiful partner with zero personality. That is, it ticked all the boxes on my list, but we had nothing to talk about at dinner. And after 2 years of trying to force a spark, I'm finally blocking it on all platforms. But was my experience unique? Were you underwhelmed with the narrative of True Colours, or do you wholeheartedly disagree with me? Either way, tell me in the comments, what game are you currently in a toxic relationship with? One that you hate playing but can't seem to uninstall. I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Bye!